All right.
Cash.
We on, Tony? Yep. All right. Welcome back to the So Men podcast. Conversations we would have had anyway, or in this case, conversations we haven't had in 15 years, Chris? Maybe?
Strong 15.
Strong 15, man. It's been a long time.
Yeah, about 15.
We got to say thank you to Pastel Pencil for some super cool stickers. If you want to go check her out, this is a young female entrepreneur. Pastel Pencil on the gram. And we want to thank Bolton and Mink Studios on the gram for having us here and treating us right. Tony, behind the box, he's doing a great job.
Daniel, we miss you, Daniel.
Yes.
Daniel, we miss you.
Yes. Teach us how to run the TV.
Look forward to you next week.
And Tony, did you get your raise yet?
I did.
Yeah, got his raise. Nice.
Look at that.
That's outstanding.
Well, hold on. Did you get that first check with the raise?
No, it doesn't take effect until.
Exactly. So you didn't get a raise yet. All right, but it's coming.
Good. We've been talking about that for like a month.
Longer than that.
Sweet. Yeah, longer than that.
That was my idea, by the way, Tony.
Yes, it was. So
Check the record.
Maybe some love for next 2 episodes, 2 weeks from now. But anyway, so we have a super cool episode today. I am really excited for this episode because we have Chris Kylce, and he and I, we went to high school together, and we haven't talked or seen each other, run into each other since probably high school.
2005. 2021, that's a long time.
That's a long time. Yeah. That's a long time. So we have Wade Abed, I'm Matt Brozick, Chris Kylce. This is going to be a super cool episode.
Looking forward to it.
I have no idea what we're going to talk about, but
I do.
I want to tell a really quick story. So the way that this all came about is anybody who knows me, I try my absolute best to stay off of social media, especially Facebook, because I have enough issues to deal with. I don't want to listen to other people complain about their stuff. But anyway, the point of it is, so I had to go on the So Men podcast Facebook page to upload or whatever the latest episode of the podcast.
Is there a So Men podcast Facebook page?
Yeah,
There is.
Yeah.
Is there an Instagram page?
Yeah.
And there's a Twitter and everything?
Not Twitter. We have Instagram, Facebook,
And YouTube.
and YouTube. Yeah.
I'm not on those. I should be on them.
You should check it out.
I don't know.
How do you listen to the podcast?
Spotify?
Oh, okay. You got to watch them. They're more interesting when you watch them.
I don't really watch them. I'm more like Joe Rogan. I don't watch my own shit.
Oh, all right. Well, either way, so the story is I'm on Facebook, and again, I try as like best I can to just put the blinders on and get my stuff done and then get out of there as fast as possible. And for some reason, I've like came across a video that you put up. It's like 7-8 minutes long of you talking, just holding your phone out, talking, walking through one of the places you were painting. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, man, I haven't seen Chris in a long time. And I clicked on it, exactly the opposite of what I tried to do in every instance. But I click on it, and you're talking about what you're doing, and a couple things super resonated with me. One is you were talking about being your own boss.
Definitely.
Not having to deal with a clock in, clock out, somebody else telling you what to do. Mm-hmm. You get your stuff done. You're an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. You figured out how to start your own LLC, how to do all that stuff, Definitely. And you just did it.
Definitely.
And that I was so excited after I watched that, 7 or 9 minutes of it. I literally went right to Messenger and I clicked your name and I'm like, dude, podcast, we should do it. And now we're doing it.
Hey, there you go. Nothing to it but to do it. He sort of caught me off guard with that. I'm like, oh, Matt? So what do I owe this pleasure?
I literally was like, he's either going to think this is cool or super stupid. I'm not sure which, but I'll just, again, you just do it and whatever. If you think I'm dumb, I don't know. You might think I'm dumb after this. Who knows?
No. You're still my guy, man.
So, the first thing I wanted to talk a little bit about is I want to know what you've been doing since 2005. Like, what's been going on in your life?
That's a long stretch of time here. Man, since then, 18, graduated high school, I obviously party a little bit. It comes a point of time in your life where, you got to start focusing on your future, what really is important to you. A lot of ups and downs, man, trials and tribulations, man. I come from a lot of different walks of life, so took a little second to get focused a little bit. I mean, that's just normal, coming out of high school. But, man, I've always done my music thing, since back in high school. So for a while, I dove real deep into the music, doing shows. I did 2 mixtapes with fellow rappers of mine. Tour life, I toured with Bone Thugs and Harmony for a little bit, across, Midwest area a little bit, and had 2 kids, had to, put the music career on hold for a while, do the father thing, and I stumbled upon somebody that know how to paint, learned the painting game, and that's what I've really been doing since then. I've been painting probably since 2012. So those first couple of years, just hanging out, just getting by how we do. And then I stumbled upon this painting stuff, and man, I really liked it. I really liked what was going on. And someone told me to really sit back and actually try to learn this. Back in high school, I used to draw all the time. I was an artist, so I used to, be in class drawing all day long. So art and me, go hand in hand. Sort of ironic that I used to hate painting, though. Like in art class, I couldn't control the paint, so I just really used to hate to paint. So I think about it like now with me having my own painting business. It's crazy how that works out, But man, I've just been rocking and rolling ever since, man. Just trying to do my 1-2, man. That's about it.
So I want to.
How'd you guys meet in high school? So I mean, like, what's the connection? So it's Mankato East, right?
Mankato East, yeah.
So Mankato East class of 2005.
We played basketball.
Basketball and football,
Yep.
Yeah.
So you guys on the basketball team, football team together?
Yep.
Okay.
Basketball, yeah. Sports. Matt was always a little bigger than everybody back then, though.
I was like 6 foot tall in like 6th grade.
Yeah,
like,
he was huge.
I just rebounding was easy.
I'm sorry, this is not my fault. This is your fault. He's still a little bigger than everybody. Not a lot.
I'm working on that. I told you.
He got bigger.
I'm getting on the bike.
Bigger.
I'm getting on the bike. I'm trying to get smaller.
There you go.
We're working at it.
So Matt got a Peloton.
Yes.
So
yes.
he's trying to hit that Peloton.
I'm trying to haul ass on a
workout.
Peloton. Yeah. I'm on a 2-week, what do they call it? Like on the screen or whatever. Like
I have no idea.
Yeah. Right.
know.
Yeah. Right.
I don't know.
You're an idiot. You're just being.
Sorry, I'm not going to do it anymore. Sorry, I don't know.
You're just mad because we had a good episode and you weren't here for the last one.
Apparently, the 2 best episodes ever prior to these, so no pressure for you. They were also happened to be the 2 that I was not here for. So the 2 best ever just happened. So it's just me and you now, like just we're landing this.
Hopefully you get better and better. I'm here.
That's
now,
what I said. I was, I'm going to bring it today.
There we go.
I figure it's got about 20, 30 minutes in him. And then it's just going to be me and you for like 50, 60.
And that's totally fine.
Hey, man,
that's
holla at me, man. Anything you want to know, man, shoot your shot.
So
let's get it.
So basketball, football. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
How long did you play basketball for?
Man, I played for like traveling, Mankato traveling team. To be honest, I didn't make it too far though. Like I got till about 9th grade, freshman year, and then I sort of fell off with the sports, but it was a little regret of mine in life. But at the same time, as I sit back and think, I feel like I might not be where I'm at if it wasn't for me going down the road that I went.
Yeah.
I hung out with a lot of older people, growing up. Yeah, most of my friends, even to this day, 34, most of my friends is 40, 45, so I was that 13, 14-year-old with the 20, 25-year-olds, so.
Well, Wade just turned 40, and I totally forgot his birthday, so he's an old dude.
April 23rd, 81, so I'm 40.
Way to go.
Oh, there you go,
You
man.
made it, dog.
Happy birthday.
Made it 40.
Happy birthday.
You made it.
Belated
You made
birthday
it.
that I totally forgot.
Yeah, there you
Sorry.
go.
Thank you, sir. 40.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. Thanks for putting it out there.
Well, you've been talking about it for however long.
I know.
You bring it up every other episode, maybe. And now you're there. And you
40.
look great.
40.
I wouldn't have guessed that. Now that he said that, I wouldn't have said that.
No, you don't look like you're 40. I guess like 37, 36.
Look good, feel good, do good.
There you go. That's all that matters.
Look good, feel good, do
I
better.
see you got the Bears get up on, man. What's that about?
I'm from Illinois.
I figured that I had.
Yeah, this was on sale at Penny's before they closed. So
doubt, no doubt.
I grew up, in North Chicago, and that's my team. So
There you go.
And I was working, and I'm like, what's easy for me to grab? And these are my go-to. I can take my shirt off and have a white tee and put on my Bears hoodie and my Bears hat, that I got. And that was it. So it was not really a lot of thought put into it. You can see my socks matched great because I was wearing these earlier. So, and my jeans have a hole in them, but whatever. It's the stuff that was like laying on the bed. So I grabbed that off the bed and I drove here. That was it.
We're in a non-judgy area.
Yeah, I don't really give a shit. I mean, it was like this feels good to me. So
That's
yeah,
all that matters, man. That's all that matters.
So yeah, that was so still born and raised there, and
Waukegan.
yeah, Waukegan, North Chicago, and then Cubs, Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, and so yeah, I mean that was till I came to Minnesota. It's 15, 16, but by then like the mold's already set, it's already cast.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know, so and if I have my pick, I guess I would pick the Illinois sports teams over. No offense to you guys, if you're.
Hey, I'm originally from Indiana. You know, I grew up in Minnesota, but I'm literally 20, 30 minutes from Chicago. So most of my friends is Chicagoans too. You know.
When did you come to Minnesota?
Man, I came to Minnesota early 90s. I was, I don't really have too much memory of being in Indiana. Like I said, I started school here. I lived in Minneapolis before I came down here.
So where in Indiana?
I'm from Gary, Indiana.
Gary, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm from Waukegan, and then there's Gary, and that's down the coast.
Okay.
I've not visited there. I'm actually from there. So Gary, so the Bears were going to come to Gary. That was a thing.
Oh, yeah?
So being 34 and 40, it was always like a threat, like the Giants or the Jets or like the Washington football team. Caught myself. They're not like actually in DC. They're going to move the Bears to Gary.
Oh, okay.
Like back when they're going to move them, because it's just across the border.
Right.
I mean, Gary is a gangster ass town. I mean, that's a tough ass town.
Yeah.
So, is there a timeout for a Gary story?
Sure.
Yeah. So.
No, I don't got no Gary stories.
No, I'm
that.
saying me.
Yeah. Oh, okay, for you,
me.
yeah. I ain't even going to go down that road.
So the first time I went to Gary that I remember, we stopped and got gas. We were just came off like the Skyview exit and kind of go through, and you go past what I know as Comiskey Park, and you keep going, and you get in, and you get into Indiana. And like one of the first cities, as you know, it was Gary, and we had to get gas, and it was probably the only time I saw like literally a pack of wild dogs in the city. There was like 8, 10, 12 dogs that were just running down the street, just like running roughshod. No owners, nothing. Just like going looking for work. And we're getting, swear to God, we're getting gas, and my stepdad and I are looking at it, and we're like, is that a pack of dogs? And we're like, yeah. Because we were going out, and so Gary used to be like this town that you had to go and play. So like Frank Sinatra played Gary, kind of like you would hit Gary before you would go to like Detroit, or you would go play Detroit and then go play Gary. The theaters, the infrastructure in Gary, it was a beautiful, gorgeous city for like way before we were alive. And by the time I went there, it was in rough shape. But I also saw Devin Hester. This is another good Bears story. I saw Devin Hester at a gas station in Gary at like 3 o'clock in the morning. And he's got like this huge Chevy on 24s. Just, he's pumping gas. And I look over, I'm like, is that Devin Hester?
Right.
And it's definitely Devin Hester. Like the license plate, everything is there, And I'm like, hey, 23. And he was like, got up, out. So Gary, those are my 2 Gary stories. That's it.
You got a story about everywhere.
No, just a few places, but that's one of them, yeah.
They keep getting brought up. So okay, so you moved to Mankato. You're Minneapolis first, and then Mankato. So you're what, like how old?
Man, I got down here about probably like 4th, 5th grade. That's when me and Jesse Graves met each other. Yeah,
Okay.
about that time. Yeah, so I've been down here since then, 20 plus years, definitely. Yep.
Yeah, you keep in touch with Jesse?
Yeah, all the time. We grew up together. It's like my brother. It's
Yeah.
a good friend. Yeah, we run into each other all the time. But I mean, it's different now. We got kids and families, so we don't hang out nowhere near how we used to. But man, we see each other. It's always all love. So
Yeah.
yeah, the whole Graves family. Period.
Yeah, man,
Yep.
that brings back a lot of memories. Like,
Yeah.
Who's Jesse Graves? I don't. Is there a connection? Is there like would I know that? Not being from
You-
here, is there a Graves? Is there anything there? Or is like I would.
Jesse was probably the most like athletically talented person in our grade.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
he-
around.
he's
His
like-
whole family, they was just sports fanatics,
Yeah.
period. You know, they
Yes.
sort of got me in it. Like, I didn't even play football. I was a hooper. And, you know, just hanging out with them, they got me to play football, you know. So, it's a childhood friend we all grew up with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was. Yeah. He's a good dude.
Yeah, definitely.
That'd be another interesting person to have on the podcast.
Is Jesse Graves still
Yeah,
around?
He's
Where's
still
he
around.
Town
yeah,
doing.
he's still around.
Yeah, I haven't seen him in.
Yeah.
Man, it's been a long time.
Yeah, man. Hey, that's what happens. You just grow up and then, you know, sort of do your own thing. But, you know, it's cool to come back and link up. I always used to wonder, like, in high school, like, what is everybody going to be doing when we graduate? Like, how people's life is going to be. So we fast forward 15 years ago. I mean, 15 years from then to now, I
Yeah.
would have never thought we'd be sitting here doing this. You know,
No.
back while
Yeah.
walking
No.
past each other in the hallways of high school, I would never thought
No.
we'd be having this conversation. But it's pretty cool to have these type of experiences, you know.
Yeah, and I saw on the production manager that schedules this stuff has your name, and in parentheses it says what I think is Young Blac, and I'm like, okay, so what kind of episode is this? Do we have do we we have an artist on here? And so I looked, and then I saw a little bit on the internet, and then I stopped. And I was like, I want this to be really fresh and clean, like up here in my brain, and just see what happens. And I didn't ask any questions until like 90 minutes ago, 2 hours ago. And I was like, what's up with Chris?
Man, yeah,
So-
that's two different people.
Right, exactly. So I was like, I got two names here. And I'm like, is this a creative? Is this a musician? Is what kind of artist is this? So I think, for me, the hip hop thing was really interesting, to hear and learn in the last 20 minutes. So what was your first introduction, or the first time where hip hop meant something more than just what you heard on like the radio or in the tape deck, or I guess, or the CD, the Discman, because you guys are 34, 35.
we had a Discman. Yeah.
Man, well, I've been rapping since I was about 12, 13. You know, my first time doing a live performance, I was 15 years old. Music has always been a part of my family. You know, roots back in Gary. You know, I come from a musical family. And
There's a really famous family that does music from Gary too.
the Jacksons, man, my aunts, they actually went to school with them, like,
Did
singing
you know that,
contests
Matt?
and all
No,
of
I
that.
didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't know that. You know, people don't know I'm from Indiana like that.
Yeah.
'Cause I grew up in Minnesota. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I go back to Gary every year since a kid. But
Yeah.
you know, Minnesota is
Home.
that's home. But
But yeah, the Jacksons from Gary.
definitely right around the corner from my auntie's house. I could take you to their house right now. You still there. But
So you were saying your aunt went to school, or family member went to school with some of the
all
Jacksons?
of them. My mom is the youngest, so it's a family of sisters. They're known for singing, so they all went to school together. The Jacksons, their family is known for singing, so like they would even have like be in school contests against each other and all that.
That's
so,
amazing.
Yeah,
So imagine that, like talent show or school contest.
Wow.
right.
And let's have these two families,
Yeah.
all girls, all boys, and the girls are pretty, young. If you're
Right.
thinking about LaToya and Janet, but the dudes, like the Jackson brothers were probably, relatives. I'm guessing, I don't know, your aunts and mom are somewhere like 55 to 65 ish.
Yep. A little
That's
older,
crazy.
a little older,
Holy
yep.
moly!
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah,
That's really
music.
cool.
Yeah,
That'd be amazing. Yeah.
I've always been into music. Like I said, I used to be in high school, writing raps. Through all periods. Going down the hallways. We used to rap. Me and all the homies, we used to rap. I didn't really talk a lot. Growing up.
Yeah.
I wasn't the most vocal person, but even like expressing myself, I didn't really know how to express myself too much. So I used to just write raps, as a form of getting stuff out, and ran into a couple people that I know, older cats. They was into rapping, so they got this little young dude, me, that rapped.
Yeah.
They sort of took a liking to me, started to mold me a little bit as far as rapping. They started to throw the first shows here ever in Mankato as far as hip hop Born Star, Born Ballers. This is actually Jesse's uncle and my cousin's husband. This is how I got close with him. And they used to have equipment, like real equipment, making CDs and, having their own record label, having some people sign, record contracts, really pushing us to do music. So it was just a passion to me, and I found out that I was really good at it. I mean, that's what they used to tell me. I didn't really know I was that good,
But to hear that, I mean, to have that encouragement, like, hey, keep at this. You have something here.
Yeah, definitely.
Versus the opposite.
Like, hey, you suck, man. You need to let that go.
No.
Yeah.
No.
But I remember, like, literally we'd be walking down the hallway or we'd be in class or something, and I'd be like just the ignorant kid that'd be like, what are you doing over there? He'd be like, I'm writing a rap. I'm like, oh, what's it say? I remember I would just sit and ask you questions like, well, what's that? Like,
People used to try to read the raps and stuff. And be like, hey, no, man, don't read the raps, man. No, you can't read this, man. I mean, one time I wrote a rap on the back of my homework, and I got in trouble for it by my teacher because she, reading my raps. I'm talking about this, that, and the other. I got in trouble. I had to go see the principal. And I was real passionate about it, so I didn't really understand why I was getting in trouble. I'm like, this is my culture. This is rap. Why y'all getting upset with me? But then as I got older, I understood like it wasn't appropriate for, it's a time and place for everything,
And I'm just trying to think about the time period of like, this is like mid 90s or I guess probably late 90s.
We were in high school.
2000, early 2000.
Sorry, I'm old, so I'm 40.
2000, 2005.
Which in like hip hop years can be really old or really young, I guess. So early 2000, I'm trying to think what's happening at hip hop at that time. So yeah,
Pac and Biggie were dead at this point.
Yeah, but I'm saying it, from like what's being put out there or like what's. Like,
I'm glad you laughed. That's a stupid joke.
But like what's put out there at that time is probably.
That's like when Eminem first came into the scene.
But I'm saying it's a pretty aggressive period.
Yeah.
Like before,
Definitely.
Before what I call like hip hop really made a push.
Right.
So there's some heavier influenced material coming out at that time.
Yeah.
So what was like you talk about local influences. What did you have for like music influences, artist influences, early or now? Like what are the things that are major influences for
Well, back then I was a big Bone Thugs and Harmony fan. Remember I used to have the braids. I just cut my hair like a month or two ago for the first time since then. But I was a big Bone Thugs and Harmony fan, Tupac. Death Row was really popping back then, Nas and all that type of stuff. So I'm more of that era, and then I sort of fell out of, the normal hip hop. And like I said, I started really doing my own thing. So it came a nice time where I was just focused on my own music.
Yeah.
It's to me, it sort of started getting watered down a little bit, compared to what I grew up with to now. So like if you ask me now who would be my favorite rappers these days, I probably wouldn't even have one for you, to be honest. Cause just don't.
I don't blame you at all.
I mean, it shifts from lyrics to dancing and
I think
culture.
Yeah.
I think Kendrick is he's a bright spot.
Right.
I mean, as far as like a national bright spot.
Right.
Where he kind of took some things that were lost for 15, 20 years.
Definitely, I agree.
And he's a bright spot. I think in some of the younger rappers that have come out, hip hop artists, and for me, I like Chance, of course.
Yeah.
But these guys are newer throwbacks to like a bygone era that just when we were kids, what's funny is there were a lot of booty jams growing up like when I was a kid. And so, like I'm playing YouTube shows for my kids who were in like 6th grade and 4th grade. I'm playing like Around the Way Girl by LL. And I'm like, so this is a booty jam, all right? Like this is what this is, right? And you're like, Brenda Got a Big Old Butt is a great video, right? It's just LL Cool J basically leaving every other girl for this other girl because she has a big butt. And like that was hip hop at the time. Like probably 80, 88, 89, and then it got weird. I don't know what happened exactly, but maybe 99, 2000, Juvenile was the biggest rapper in the country.
Definitely.
And the South kind of came up and took over all this shit up north. And that was the thing.
Right.
even with Eminem being kind of this, he was a silo, quite frankly. He was just like, this is what he does.
Right.
And then all the South came up, and we
Right.
got this whole kind of country fried sound
Right.
from Texas and Georgia. And that was a fun era, but I wouldn't say it had the most, it wasn't going to hit you like here,
Right.
like make you feel it. But
Right.
it was fantastic music.
Right. Right. You know, Juvenile came to Mankato before. You ever know that?
I don't think I did.
Yeah, Cato Ballroom. Matter of fact, a Born Star, Born Ballers. We did one of our shows here. We used to do our shows on Riverfront at the Morrison area, and we had a rap battle.
Okay.
And the winner of the battle had Juvenile tickets. This is when Juvenile sort of stopped messing with Cash Money when
Yep.
they first started beefing.
Yep.
And a lot of people don't know Young Buck was with 50 Cent.
Yeah, for sure.
G-Unit. He came out with Juvenile. So
Yeah.
when he first
He was the guy from the South that went to New York, Young Buck.
yeah, and
Right.
then got
Yeah.
with 50 Cent and
Yep.
G-Unit, you know, dark skinned with the
Yep.
braids. One of his first shows when he first got on the scene was here in Mankato at the Cato Ballroom. They actually stayed at the American Inn. I actually did a performance on their show. I was younger, but I won the freestyle battle for our concert.
Okay.
So I got the tickets, but I wasn't supposed to get in. And I guess they were stalling to get on stage, so the whole crowd was getting a little antsy. So somebody was like, "Hey, Black man, go on stage." So I just went up on there, you know, did a little freestyle session, and they ended up coming out. So, yeah, so a lot of people don't even know that they touched
had
out
no
in Mankato
idea.
before. Yeah,
That's
And,
awesome.
Yep.
You know, so like you're telling your kids that are in 6th grade and 4th grade, I'm like, this label at the time and this artist, Juvenile, was for about 2 years the biggest artist
right,
in the
definitely,
country. You know,
definitely.
and this really set up, really Cash Money Records, that whole thing.
That's what started it all.
that was
be
it.
no Lil Wayne if
Right,
it wasn't for that movement.
And so, and he's little anyway, but he's really little in those, like in
Right.
those, like in those videos. And so I'm like, so that kid right there, that's Wheezy right there. That's Lil Wayne right there. Like, that's
Right.
Lil Wayne. I'm like, he's like 15,
Right.
16.
And he started rapping when he was like 10 and, you know,
Yeah.
so 9, 10 years old. Like, even when I started, obviously he's a little bit older than me,
Yeah.
but people used to look at me like I was the
Yeah.
Lil Wayne of the crew. You know, I was always the youngest.
And when you said that, I was like, okay, so there's kind of like you're bringing people up and, seeing there be this pipeline of artists or, creatives in any genre, to see that was, I think it's just part of how you keep the culture going.
Right,
Because
definitely.
otherwise there's these gaps and, I don't know where it stands now, but I had no idea that he played, that Juvenile came back after Cash Money and did his own thing.
He started his UTP was the record label that he started.
That's right.
UTP, right? And then like I said, Young Buck started
Yeah.
with UTP, and then something happened. He ended up working with 50
Yeah.
Cent.
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, a little rap history for you.
Yeah. I was like,
Yeah,
that's amazing. Yeah, I mean, I think now being being this age, for me it was, it was like EPMD, Nas, Tribe Called Quest, De La Soul. I gravitated towards that. The Far Side even, was more on that kind of side of things. Still like all of the more hardcore hip hop or like studio hip hop that came out from the West Coast. Still like all those things. Big Wu-Tang, obviously, like that whole era, but more gravitated towards more like thought conscious rap. Just being a inner city white kid, that was American music to me. And so I'm not sure if it was like now it may be something that you're not supposed to do, but at the time that was everything.
definitely.
And that was the culture, and that's what we grew up doing.
Right.
And now I'm not sure if kids do that still, or if they even see that connection or not. I don't know. Like, you have kids. How old are your kids?
My oldest is 11. My
Yeah.
youngest is 8. I only got 2 kids, so I got an 8-year-old and
You have 9
11-year-old.
kids like Matt.
I got 4 now.
4?
Oof.
Yeah.
There you go. Working hard there, buddy.
Yeah. Not anymore. We're done with children now.
So you got 11-year-old, boy, girl.
2 boys.
2 boys. Yeah. Me.
Yeah.
2 boys, 11, and soon to be 12 and 10. Yeah. So it's been interesting to see. Do they have any opinions on music? What stuff do they like?
I mean, they like what's out, whatever they hear type, whatever's popular. I don't think they're too opinionated yet. They just ride the wave on what everybody else think is cool. But me being into music myself, I try to guide their brain a little bit. Like,
please.
Oh, man, that's whack, man. You got to listen to this. Yeah. Try to, open their brain up a little bit, make them think a little bit. Like, are you actually hearing what? Because a lot of people don't be saying nothing. It's just the feel of the music, and I be telling them like, man, are you actually listening to what he's saying? They can say something. You be like, dude, he really said that, and you think that's actually cool. So but then it feel good for them to be getting a call like, Dad, play some of your songs or play your music, and I hear them rapping my songs or whatnot. So gotta let them live a little bit, but I still try to instill something real into them.
Well, at a certain level, though, like whatever music, it doesn't matter if you're listening to rap or country or rock or whatever, like at a certain level of popularity, like it almost like the lyrics or like the actual soul behind it just kind of gets dumbed down.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
It's saccharine.
You have to just kind of dumb it down so the masses like it to where
I don't know. Yeah.
I like
It's the same pop formula.
well, correct.
Everywhere.
Well, that's why like when I talk about the Siege, like that's what drew me to them is because I can't find anybody that knows who they are, which is
I don't know who they are. I mean, when you say the Siege, I think about Run the Jewels.
No,
Is it like that?
I'm not kidding. This is my favorite group that I've found in probably the last 5 or 7 years. It is super original, and it's a really tall, lanky white dude that does the beats, and this other black guy that raps, and it's amazing. It's super cool. But anyway, the point of it is I think that with a lot of things, if you find something that is not super popular yet, I think you have a lot more heart and soul into that because they're either able to say or, whatever, but they can say and do what they want with their music versus once you get to a certain level, you almost kind of get steered to a certain way because you need to make a label happy or you need to make your fans happy or you need to do something like that. Yay or nay?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Like I went to the Vans Warp Tour in the summer of 2000 and maybe 2001. And I saw J5 and the Black Eyed Peas. And this is not the Black Eyed Peas that people have really come to know. I mean, it was just their music was way more conscious and less pop. I mean, I would put them on the same kind of like in the same area. It was like Erykah Badu and Outkast and just even Goody Mob, or MOP at that time. And then like 5 years later, they were like, let's get it started. And I was like, you don't make
that. Doesn't sound like that.
Like I would, like the Roots and like you were in this camp and now they're selling out like stadiums. So I mean, it's interesting to, it's fascinating that a hip hop artist has 2 kids and his kids like hip hop too. I mean, it's like that's the part that I'm trying to get to.
Man.
She's like, Dad, I want the new Cardi B album, and I'm not trying to rip Cardi B. Do your thing.
Right.
But come on now.
Right.
Come on now. I mean, like, really? I'm not trying to. Megan Thee Stallion, great name, good artist, get it, but it's not like Lil' Kim and Foxy Brown. It's not exactly the same.
No.
It is. The
I mean,
lyrics
it
is
seemed
different.
like it.
See, a lot of things now is based on record sales and
Clicks.
what you making money, right?
Yeah.
And all of that, versus substance. I'm more of a substance. That's like when you forwarded me that.
Yeah.
I never heard of them before, but he was actually talking about something. It wasn't just feel good music. He was actually trying to enlighten you on something, trying to teach you something. He had an actual topic of what he was talking about.
Yep.
And that's what I like.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It depends on what you're in the mood for. I mean, you can be at a party, you don't want to hear no conscious stuff at a party. You want to feel good and party, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But just me as an artist, listening, I'm just a listener. I want something that I can think about, something that's going to make me think about something,
It's so this is interesting. So you talk about being an artist. Right. So like I remember in high school, kind of like like right now, people ask me, they're like, what do you enjoy doing? I love creating. Like I love creating stuff.
Right.
Whether it's a business or whether it's like just stuff. Like I really love creating things.
I like naps.
And in high school, like I always felt like it was weird to be like a creative kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there was an outcast kid.
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. So what it was really interesting.
People under the stairs.
Well, no, like
One of my favorites.
What I find is really interesting, like looking back at watching you in school and you'd be writing raps, and when we were probably supposed to be paying attention in biology or whatever the hell. I never did well in biology, but
No, nobody.
the point of it is it's super fun from my perspective now to reconnect with you and listen about like the creative process.
Definitely.
And recently I have another friend of mine who is an amazing musician, way better than I will ever be. And he and I were talking one time and he's like, well, why don't you write that down? Like you should. And I sent him like these little ditties on the guitar and stuff like this. And he's like, dude, you should just do this. This would be really fun.
Write this
I'm
down.
well,
You're
it
like, I don't know
probably
how.
sucks. He goes, it
Right,
probably sucks.
right. I was like, I
and
don't
he's
know.
like, it doesn't matter if it sucks. The whole thing is, it's so fun to just create, just to be creative and find something that you like. And even if everybody hates it, it doesn't matter.
Right.
And that's what I think is so fun about music is you get, you sit and mold this thing.
Right.
And you start it up, okay, scrap that, start that over. And then eventually at the end, it's like, okay, poof. There's a thing that didn't exist before.
Exactly.
And I think that is so much fun. And music is just so amazing to be able to do that.
Definitely. A lot of people don't understand how hard it is to really put together a real song,
It's amazingly difficult.
Right. It's not as easy as you think. So me, I it's music that I don't like. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but I respect it,
Same.
because
Yep.
you don't really understand the process
Yeah.
of how to put these thoughts together and to actually make it sound good or to make people like it. It's not as easy as you would think. So you just got to respect the craft in all aspects. I'm not a fan of certain genres of music, but I listen to it.
Same.
And then, if I hear it could be some country music or whatever. You could be saying some real stuff that what I'm saying. I might not like the song, but what you saying might capture me.
Yeah, but your art form, it's a whole the saying, just game recognizes game.
Exactly.
I don't have to play your game or like your game, but game
Right.
recognizes game.
Exactly.
It's no different than like Taylor Swift and like the Romeo and Juliet song. Like that song, I think it's a stupid song, but I understand how it is catchy as hell.
Right.
And everybody's like jamming to it. I'm like, I think that's dumb, but
And Scooter
I
Braun's a
totally
bastard.
respect that you
So,
put that together because that is not easy for millions of people to think that your jam is amazing.
Yeah, you can't be a hater, man. It's one thing, man. You can't be a hater.
No, and for me, I'm just trying to pause and keep the powder dry on the Bone Thug stuff. But I'm just waiting. I'm just like, so are we? When can we talk about that?
Let's talk about Bone Thugs.
So let's talk about Bone Thugs.
Yeah,
And so
Whatever, holla at me.
first day I ever skipped school, it was East 1999. And when it came out, because I'm old, right? This is like 8th grade, 7th, 8th grade. And so we skipped school and we listened to that tape,
Yeah.
which is their debut. I mean,
Yeah.
it's almost like an iconic. It's one of the greatest debut albums, period, ever. I mean, ever. You can put up maybe Guns N' Roses debut, Bone Thugs debut, top 10 best debut, in my opinion, ever. And so we skipped school and we listened to that record, and I heard nothing like that ever in my entire life.
They had a sound that was absolutely unique.
And they had to go from Cleveland all the way, west to get signed on Ruthless, I think.
Yep. Easy E, Ruthless.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ruthless Records. Yep.
And that record. So how did you get? Because these are Hall of Famers at this point in time. Hall of Famers, greatest of all time. Break barriers, blended all these genres. There's Motown in there, and there's jazz and blues and all this stuff. So how did you get them when you're 24, 25 at the time, Midwest tour? How did you get from writing raps and biology to your opening or touring with Bone Thugs?
Like I said, I've been rapping for years, so a lot of people know me for rap.
Yeah.
A lot of older cats too. You know, I know a lot of people in the cities that rap are influential people. So how that came about is I was working on a mixtape here in town, and I started to do a solo project. And two of my buddies, I let them get on a track on my solo project, and we ended up forming a group. So there's one guy I knew. He used to hang out with a lot of my older homies. You know, this was back before I was even rapping seriously. I was just rapping. So I knew him. So this guy that I'm putting on my mixtape now, you know, we knew the same guys in the cities. You know, he moved down here. We became close. We became friends. So he knew the same dude. So what happened was, I don't know if you guys remember, they came to Buster's. Well, one Bone member came to Buster's. I think it was Lazy Bone.
I don't remember if it was Lazy or...
Yeah, it was Lazy Bone.
My wife was at that show.
Yeah.
Right, so he came to Buster's,
It's not that
right?
long ago. This was the last 10 years.
Yeah, but
sure.
I was a good 25, 26.
Yeah.
So the guy that's my friend, well, they was giving out tickets or something like that. Something like that. They was giving out tickets to the Bone Thugs Buster show, but it's just Lazy Bone. So this guy that I knew when I was a kid, he actually know Lazy Bone. He's a big rapper in the city. So he's toured. He's probably about 44, something like that.
So he's not that old.
Yeah, shout out my man Uneasy, you know what I'm saying? He know Lazy Bone. So my friend that was getting on the music with me, he hit up, was like, man, you know, Lazy Bone coming down here. He was like, oh, okay, no doubt. So this girl that I knew, she ended up having some spare tickets to the show, ended up giving it to me and my homies. So we go to the show. Here come Lazy Bone come out, but then next, you know, my guy is out on the stage with so he must have reached out to Lazy Bone and like, man, I got some people in Mankato, so Lazy ended up letting him open for him. So we in the crowd. I didn't even know he was coming down here, so he just like, coming up. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? He like, yeah, I'm here.
Yeah.
So he pointed to me and my dude. He was like, y'all come up here. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, he blessed us, let us get on stage with him. So we rocked the whole show with him on stage. And
your wife's at this show.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Oh, see? Yeah.
My wife was there, and I was at
my
home
kids at
taking
this
care
time
of
are
my
little. They're like, I had
oldest
babies.
son.
Yeah, so you should have came.
I should have came.
Should have came.
I wanted
You
to
would have
go.
been like, come up here. I'd be like, yeah.
Hey, my man. You know what I'm saying?
I wanted to go to that show, but I had like Miles and Lincoln are babies. And I was like, honey, I think Lazy Bone is in town tonight. She was like, there's going to be no Bone in town tonight if you go to that show.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, I'm gonna skip that show.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry for asking.
But yeah, they ended up they had a hotel out here somewhere. So you know, we ended up going to the hotel after party and stuff. So now we're in the hotel room with Lazy Bone.
It's like, hi.
Right, you know, so we just chilling and kicking it. Like I said, this Lazy Bone is my guy dude, you know what I'm saying? Because he's actually from Ohio. My homie, no, I don't know if he's exactly from Ohio, but he used to be out in Ohio.
Yeah.
So they know each other. So, you know, they got the little camcorder out there, you know, everybody doing shout outs. Hey, this is me from so-and-so, so-and-so. So one dude was from Fort Wayne, Indiana, you know what I'm saying? And my homie, Brandon Swapshire, we did a mixtape together, Plastic Bag Boys for Every King of Crown. But he's from Fort Wayne, Indiana. So the one guy that's from Fort Wayne, Indiana, he's actually Lazy Bone engineer, but he lives in St. Paul.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So they connected right away, like, oh, you from Fort Wayne? Yeah, I'm from Fort Wayne too. So they ended up being on a little connection and whatnot. And coming to find out, they distant cousins. So at this time, you know, we was doing, I've done a lot of local shows around Mankato. So, you know, Plastic Bag Boys, we was doing our thing here. We was doing shows, videos, or whatnot. So we started to get a little buzz here in town. And,
which is a great
in
name.
the cities.
By the way, Plastic Bag Boys is freaking awesome.
Oh, yeah, you know.
It's a fantastic name.
Hey, look us up, man. You know,
mixtapes, the whole.
A lot of people wasn't making moves the way that we was doing down where in Mankato. You know what I'm saying? We started to really get a nice buzz. And so, you know, they stayed connected. And it's this guy named Uncle Jay.
Okay.
He used to book a lot of shows like Obi Trice. You know when Redman came down here, Uncle Jay booked that show.
Real names, no gimmicks.
So they liked our performances or whatnot. So every time they do a show, my man Brandon will hit them up like, hey, can we come do this, do that? So they'll just bless us and put us on the show. You know, we would do shows here, so we'd reach out to them like, hey, you got an artist that want to get on the show. So they'd come down here. A lot of people wanted to get a taste of Mankato. So like I said, it was Lazy Bone came down a few times, and Flesh and Bone came down. That's another member of Bone Thugs. He came down here a few times. Now we was rocking this at the Red Sky, you know, before it shut down. It was across the street from Choppers. And it came to a point where the whole group was doing, you know, got back together and was doing things. So they put us on a couple shows, and, you know, we were just traveling. You know, I went to Milwaukee was probably the furthest place we went to do a show with all five, probably the biggest show I've ever done, you know. Bottom, top row, it was massive show, you know, and we just, you know, just stayed in contact. There's a couple people in like Duluth, shout out my man Loke the Realist. He would do shows with Bone all the time, so, you know, we just built a relationship with people, and, you know, they liked our music, they liked our energy on stage, so, you know, we just blessed each other with the opportunity to get down, so that's how that came about. Just a lot of just who you know.
Yeah, I love that. I love the story. I mean, I love just how it all you know, connects together. So how did you feel playing this you know, this large venue in Milwaukee? Were you thinking, like, is this my come up, or like, where does this go from here?
Man, I was more of just a fan, you know, Bone Thugs is my favorite group. I'm like, first, second grade is when I first got in tune with Bone. Like I said, I grew my hair out for Bone, you know what I'm saying, because of Bone. So just to be blessed with the opportunity to travel and do shows with these guys, not a lot of people can say that in their life. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm on the same stage with my favorite rap artists. You know, we get done, we staying in the same hotel. Obviously, they more up. They wasn't like kicking it with us, but, you know, we backstage. But, you know, I get it. I get in my hotel elevator. I'm on the same elevator as all of them. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I'm like a straight fan. Like, hey, man, y'all did y'all thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm blessed to even be here, whatnot. You know, we outside kicking it with Busy Bone. You know, he more in tune with the people. You know, he all crazy. I don't want to say crazy, but he's him. Yeah. And like how you see him in videos and stuff, he's really like that. You know what I'm saying? That's one thing that really stuck out to me. Like, he ain't putting on for nobody. Like, this man is, he's really
sold
busy
a lot of
that.
records. Yeah, and they sold so many freaking
Grammy
records.
winners. You know, they won a Grammy. You know, Crossroads. You know, that's huge. So to be able to say I'm on stage and I didn't.
That's what I mean. I'm just like, I can't believe that, because
that's major.
That might have been one of the biggest crossover hip hop songs.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, ever.
Definitely.
Because they definitely, you know, from the first couple, you know, their first records coming out with that was that was Billboard 100, big, huge, international music, you know. And the video, because if you remember that music video, I mean, this whole...
Oh, when the eyes turn black, Uncle Charles.
you know, I miss my Uncle Charles too. Right. And so that record, everything they did was as big as anything. I mean, you know, if you're talking about the biggest artists that came out, certainly in our lifetime, if you look at the record sales and what they did, and then the kind of music they made, like I always said, there's, you know, and no one watches this show, so it doesn't really matter. But there's no Nelly and that whole singing, rapping, doing your own.
Exactly.
Do your bars and your chorus. You don't hire anybody else to come in and do it. You do all of it. None of that happens without these guys doing it first, because they didn't have to feature anybody if they didn't want to.
Right.
It was like not necessary, and that was different, right? Because it was always something else. You bring somebody in, sing a chorus, you know. And this is not saying that formula doesn't work, but they did it first, I think. Right,
Bone Thugs in harmony. In harmony, key word, harmony. They harmonized in their music
first. Yeah, and so that was I remember hearing it for the first time. I mean, you know, 107.5 WGCI.
Yeah, okay.
And going like, you know, what is this? This doesn't sound like anything else I've ever heard in my entire life. But I mean, still hip hop and all that, but it was very, very, very different. So for me, I'm just thrilled, like, to hear that story.
Oh yeah.
Or like even
that's so cool.
Just to be close to that. But
isn't it such a thrill though? Like when you have people you're on stage, you're performing, and people are there, and they're like, you're putting forth your energy and what you're doing, and they're reacting to that, and like that. There's nothing like that in the world,
man. It's so phenomenal.
You're so nervous like going up on stage, and then all of a sudden you like start doing it, and you just get in your groove, and it's like there's nothing like that.
That's what really made me really fall in love with music too, because I seen that I had that crowd control when like I said, I did my first show when I was 14, 15, you know, and I used to rap fast too. So a lot of people couldn't really hear what I was saying. But so when I did the first show, I could see everybody was, you know, that just that feeling alone, you know, you fall in love with that. So that made me really want to pursue music. And, you know, I just got better and better. And even that show in Milwaukee, this is thousands of people.
That's crazy.
And to see them giving that same reaction to my music, something that I created, like how you was just saying a little bit ago, man, that's a beautiful feeling. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of people make music, but to really have that crowd control and people really, really rock with your music, man, that goes a long way. Not everybody really blessed with that talent, you know? So that just makes you fall in love with the craft even more, you know? So it just makes you want to keep pushing and keep pushing, you know? So
do you ever look back now? I mean, you're 34 now. You look back at something you wrote at 18 or 20. Do you ever look back and think like, I wrote that?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's normal. Not everything you write is gonna be gold.
I wrote that. Yep. Okay. Yep. That definitely, I own that. Like I put that out, or like that's how I felt at the time.
That comes with it, man. Like I said, you got to know that everything you write ain't gonna be a hit. You know. But that's just a process of it, though.
It is a process, though. That's exactly like you write a couple of really stupid things, but then you're like, okay, I'd like fix that and change that,
right.
It is such a process.
That's why, like a lot of people that make album stuff, they come out. You know, it take a year or two for them to come out with an album because
what's an album?
All these songs.
Yeah, what is an album anymore?
Right, we don't know what that is anymore, right?
People buy albums. It's true. I mean.
It's crazy how that's almost lost, right? You know,
it's sad.
I still try my best. Like if I find like The Siege, I keep bringing them up, but I went and I bought the entire album.
Right.
Not because I had to, but because I want to like hear it from. Because, correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, but like I think a lot of times you can hear the artists that put together an album in a certain way versus just throwing 12 songs and packaging them the same.
Right.
Do you think so?
Definitely.
And you can like hear a theme throughout the entire album, and like multiple songs will talk about certain things. You can hear about like the lyrics and how they, like they'll change throughout. Like, I'm a huge August Burns Red fan, which if anybody's out there, for the
August Burns Red,
yeah. They're a very unique genre. Put it that way.
It's like a heavy metal Christian band.
Yeah,
that's what I call them. But.
The point is though, like their Messengers album, which has nothing to do with what we're talking about right now. But the point of it is that album they put specific songs in certain places, and the whole album had a complete flow from the beginning to end. Yeah. You could listen to the entire album and think about it as one song.
Yeah.
You know, where there are other albums that same genre, same stuff, and it just sounds like 12 songs that are 12 songs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, do you find that in rap music as well?
Yeah, I mean, older. Like now, people don't really put the time into it like that. Like your album have more meaning than now. Like a lot of people more on like mixtapes and just putting songs together. They don't really take the time and put the craftsmanship into like some albums had meaning behind them. Like you had a title of the album, and you can even like read every title of each song, and you can see how that related to the album. You know what I'm saying? You don't really see that in
I don't know. I just
too much.
I feel like there are certain records that came out and certain albums that came out where they had to be released as a total project.
Right.
And I think I actually haven't thought about this until the last like 2 minutes, but Nothing But a G Thing coming out as a single, just as a single feature, just like if Dr. Dre dropped that as a single with nothing around it, would that be a hit record? Absolutely. But in the context of the whole like like the Chronic, the whole album.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you ever do that?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't get why you would make that happen, because I can play that record rail to rail,
Right.
and I can hear every song and then know what's coming next because it was a total feature.
Yeah.
Or, like if Illmatic came out just one single,
Right.
like it doesn't make any sense.
Right.
And now it seems like stuff is being produced to where they want it to be like single serving. It's like a single serving. Here you go. Here's this.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want a pop. It's like, here's your pop. You don't want a sandwich. Here's a sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
There's no meal.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know why that happened,
Right.
but it just slowly progressed to where, you had like the mixtape genre came out, which has always really started there actually. But now to hear something come out in like a mixtape single serving fashion,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when that happened, but I guess maybe there's a couple records, couple albums that came out. I think Kendrick is doing that, but even pre him, it's like the Carter, pretty much all the Carters, Carter 3, Carter 4, those are
Right.
real albums.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And since then, I don't know what's
Right.
come out as a real feature, like on a national scale. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if that's still a thing that even clicks or sells. I have no idea because
Well,
I'm
like
so
when
freaking old.
when you take other people's beats and then you rap on them, that's more mixtape feel versus when you have your own instrumental. You know what I'm saying? So like you
Yeah.
have a song that was popping, so everybody liked the song, the beat is killer. Then you got an artist who would take that instrumental and put
Yeah.
their own little 1-2 on it. That's how the mixtape come, and then it's more independent as well too. Like for that artist,
Yeah.
more promotion wise versus like an album, you probably gonna be on some sign with a label
Yeah.
type ordeal, and then you're not. But mixtapes, you're not really making no money off of it because
Yeah.
it's you taking other people's beats.
It's
and,
energy.
You got it right. That's all. So it's like a promotional sense. The
Yeah.
beat is already there and popping. Everybody already know this beat. So really, people really just jam it to the beat more than
Yeah.
you.
Favorite
know?
mixtape still to this day.
Right.
50's first mixtape
Mm-hmm.
came out, and I was working in like Connecticut, New York. That's still my favorite mixtape that came out. It was before he got it was like, you have to have this.
Right.
And he was rapping over all kinds of beats, even
Right.
funny, just like everything. And that really set things completely apart. And then he went and did that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It's a weird thing. I mean, do you think that big artists that are out there should be putting out mixtapes as social media and how that influences you can release a mixtape for free?
I mean, a lot of people get on. Like
Yeah.
these days, that's how a lot of new artists get on.
Yeah.
Because like I said, the beat is already prominent. So,
Yep.
you take a beat, this song is already a #1 hit. So people are maybe searching that.
Yeah.
And then, you put some fire lyrics to a beat that everybody is already known is very relevant. That's how a lot of young cats
Yeah.
get on these days. So just like a recognition type thing, so you keep killing it with all these beats that people already did. I know a few artists that come up like that.
I feel like it's good for the genre and good to keep
Yeah.
it going forward,
Mm-hmm.
because otherwise, like, how do you get your stuff on?
Right,
I mean, like where do you get it?
Right.
I mean, do you?
Well, you ain't really making no money off of that too, and that's something that I've been really getting to the aspect now.
Yeah.
With my raps is focusing on really generating revenue from
Yeah.
this. Because back then, when I was doing songs, and like I said, I got 2 mixtapes out. These was just beats that I was just getting off of the internet versus
Yeah.
beats that people made. And, I've registered as a real legitimate artist through ASCAP. So when I put my music out there, I can get
Yeah.
paid for every stream, every
Yeah.
download, every time I do a show. But you got to have original content. You know what I'm saying? So I was fortunate enough to link up with my guy, which is my partner in my studio, Self-Made Glory, Chris Parker. Shout out to Chris Parker. He make beats, and he's getting me more on the business aspect of it. Because
Yeah.
I started my studio, but being, shift to the entrepreneurism, I started my studio wanting to just have a place for me to do music, But then people started to hit me up for studio time, so now I started to think of the business side. Like, okay, I can sell studio time to other people or whatnot.
Like Bolton and Mink is selling us this time right now.
Yeah.
There you go.
Exactly right.
It's just in the business of making money.
Yeah.
So, that's what it's really about. So I started shifting gears from getting downloaded beats to beats that I know from actual producers. So I know I can generate revenue from forever,
So I have a question. So how, like, I know if I'm writing something, like kind of my general progression on how I do it. So how do you go from start to finish? Is it something that you hear in your head and you're like, okay, I gotta figure that out. Or I need a pencil quick, or I need a pen something, and I gotta write it down. Do you like take time and say, okay, I'm gonna write now? Like, what's your process from beginning to end?
It depends. I don't really write as much as I used to. I can just be driving. I could be listening to a song or something, and something will pop in my head. Because I freestyle too. So I could be feeling some type of way, and this could be just a way for me to get some feeling out. I could have went through an experience, and I can formulate that experience to a rap on some relation type issue. How I can relate to something with something that I've went through. It's hard for me to be like, I'm finna just sit down and write a rap.
Now's the time I write.
Yeah, now I'm at 3:30 today. I'm gonna write a rap.
Right. I mean,
This is when I create right now.
Exactly. It's all about a feeling. Like, I can go to the studio knowing like, okay, I want to write something, but I can be in the studio for hours and really not write nothing. Because it's a feeling. I'm the type I don't like to just record anything. I don't like to just write anything. I can't force it because you can feel when it's forced, and it's a certain energy that has to come and be released for my pen to really flow, how it really flow and make a hit. So.
And for people that don't know, like, it's a feeling. Like, all of a sudden, you just know.
Right.
There's times where I'll be up, like, we'll be having dinner, and it'll be my wife.
I tell my wife the same thing.
And like it's all of a sudden, I'm like,
it's a feeling.
I'm sorry, I have to go. Like, I'll be right back. I'll be back in 15 minutes.
Right.
And I'll like run down, and I got my office downstairs and stuff, and I have my guitar sitting there, and I'll set my phone down and I'll record it, and I'm not even necessarily singing any words. Right. But I'll just like I'll get a thing in my head,
right.
And I'm like, okay, pluck a few chords. I'm like, okay, this is what it is, and I'll like just hum some thing into my phone, and then I'll come back to it.
Right,
but if I don't get it on record, like that second, 2 minutes later, it's gone. Like I could never remember it, whatever. So there's like 5 little ditties that I have, whether it's a guitar thing or it's like just a melody in my phone at any one time.
Yeah, and when you become 40, that's how you feel about food. I'm just like, I want a cheese sandwich right now. And I have to run downstairs immediately and I make that cheese sandwich. Just like, here it is.
I got songs that I just capture the moment. I'm wrapping up songs that I started 2-3 years ago. That, you know what I'm saying? I come back to it. I might write like a line or two and like, all right. I'd say that a million times, and then I might shift to a couple other different songs, but then I come back to that idea. Like I said, I don't ever want to force nothing because you can feel it. You know what I'm saying? So,
the names, are these creative processes coming out of a shared collective? Like you and friends and artists, because they're on par with, some of the best names you could put out there. So is this you naming these, because they're brands? They're basically they're empires or entrepreneurial, they're companies.
Right.
These groups and the branding.
Right.
So it's like Triple Mob, which is great. It's like when you hear like the Diplomats or you hear like Goody Mob or these are never like G Unit, by the way, but I get it. So is this from you, like from your?
Well, a group. Not me per se. Plastic Bag Boys. When I told you, I brought my 2 homies to do a song with me. And his verse, he was like, Plastic Bag Boys. Yeah. He said that in his verse. And we started, we formulated a group. And I was like, I like that, Plastic Bag Boys. So that just came out of him writing something in his verse. And we just took that and we ran with it.
Yeah.
Triple Mob, that was my homie. My homie Richard and Cedric, you know what I'm saying, and my man Pooh, that was their group. But we all started kicking it together, so I became a part of that group. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? They was all older than me, too. You know what I'm saying? I was in a group, Triple Threat, me, Jesse Graves, and my brother. But, we all hung out with each other, and we all was rapping, so we all
See,
You
Triple
know what I'm
Threat
saying? We all
sounds
just
more
came
R&B
together.
to me.
You said what?
Triple Threat sounds more R&B to me.
Dang, you
Just
do us like that.
sorry about that. I thought it just in my brain went Triple Threat, Keith Sweat, and then I was like, all right, that seems more R&B. But no, I mean the names and that whole creative process, and we want to be respectful of your time too. It being 5:34.
Okay.
I have a few questions. Where do you see the art form and the genre going artistically, and then business-wise? And I'll kind of give some feedback on we talked about the pop side of it, but not everybody can be, like Dame or Jay or Beyonce. And so is there going to be like, is it going to be 2 or 3 giant labels again, or are we going to see a resurgence of independent artists and art forms happening? Like,
You talking about in the game or here?
nationally for,
I mean, I can't really speak nationally. I mean, I just feel like music nowadays is, I don't want to say brainwashing, but it's like, it's trying to, it has its hold on a whole generation of kids and having them think a certain type of way, which really isn't relevant to real life, which is why I don't really tune in to a lot of music these days,
Can we find it in Spotify or iTunes and Apple and all that kind of stuff? Can we find independent artists there to?
Well, yeah, that's the way to go business wise. That's what I was saying a little bit ago. Like that's what I'm sort of pushing with my music. I don't care. Me personally, I don't really care about fame. Like it's not like I want to be a rapper. I'm not 13, 15, 20 years old and I really just want to be a rapper. I'm sort of good in what I'm doing in life right now. I do it just because it's a passion. You know what I'm saying? I'm fortunate enough to be in a position to run a record label. But
feeds here,
Yes.
exactly.
These,
It's just I feel something that I've always had a passion to do. Yeah. But business wise, all that Spotify and all that stuff, that's the really route to go. You want to be independent more than signing to a record deal because it's going to benefit you more than in the end, in the long run. You're going to have more say-so over your craft. You don't got to, follow suit from what big corporations has going on. So any artist that's really doing their thing, I would probably push for that.
Yeah.
Yep.
She going to get mad at me. But
we will get out of here on time. I promise.
Yeah, but yeah, that's what I would go for. I would encourage any artist to really do that. Try to follow your own lane, and you're gonna see way more profit anyway too. You don't want no label making all money from stuff that you created. You know?
I mean, they said like one of the most lopsided deals ever cut in the music business, period, is when Steve Jobs cut the iTunes Apple Music deal. He's like, we'll give you like a half a penny a song. No one's ever going to do this. It's like, well, we'll just give you like half a penny. And then they were selling songs for 99 cents.
Right.
And if you have some clicks and you have 400 million clicks, that's $400 million.
Yeah, think that way.
He just like checkmate. Like, I mean, he was just like, thanks, appreciate you. We are no longer a computer company. We make music devices, and then we'll make phones later. But thank you. Here's your half a penny.
Right.
But I think it tipped now, so I'm looking forward to independent artists and
definitely
having them be closer to where the revenue stream and the dollar comes in, because you should get a huge, massive chunk of that dollar.
Right.
It shouldn't be like, like here's 10 cents, we'll keep 90 cents.
Right. That don't even make sense, man.
Well, it's not, it's like, going back like full circle, the fact that some of the greatest artists of all time don't own their masters.
Right.
That makes no sense to me. Like they had to go back and buy their masters. Where I'm like, why? Who? But
as an artist, you don't think that. You don't. people just don't have the knowledge of that, of going in any situation. You just thinking somebody should throw a huge lump sum of money at you. I'm not saying you broke, but you don't really come for money. So somebody hit you with all this amount of money, you gonna bite on that. Versus knowing the long run, just the business aspect of the game is a lot of people really don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think Russell Simmons he's a great example of that. I don't recall him on any records. Mm-hmm. His brother, sure,
right,
but not him.
Right.
He
got the most money.
He has the most of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
For real, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't spit any bars. He didn't make any. Maybe he did. Maybe he's a great promoter. I don't know. Maybe he was like first of his kind. But he learned that from other people.
Right.
He was like the second coming of like Barry Gordy or somebody like that.
Right.
And he didn't share the money.
Right.
So I think hopefully we tip the scales back towards that.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But okay, so favorite hip hop artist, Bone Thugs and Harmony. Who's your favorite lyricist or writer in the field?
I was Pac, man. Just because I could feel it. I could feel him. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
It's more to it than just music that sounded good. You got to have raw feeling and emotion behind it as well. So he had a lot of that.
Okay.
Give you something to think about, touch on some real topics, and so huge Pac fan, even still to this day.
Mm-hmm. So, bro's like favorite lyricist, hip hop.
Dude, I really like Pac. I really like I've started to go back and like listen to like Biggie, like from back when. Like you and I have talked about this. Like we're literally just start going back, and I played.
Just go backwards.
And just start going backwards. I did that. I was out, I don't know, mowing the yard or what it was, but it was probably snow blowing at this point because it's a couple months ago. But I literally just went and turned on All Eyes on Me, and just listened through everything I could possibly listen to, and it was just like you talk about going back like second, third, fourth, fifth grade. Like that was elementary school. Was listening to that stuff, and like Bone Thugs, Art of War, right?
Yeah.
Is that the album?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that
college.
album. Yeah. Okay. We were in third grade,
right?
But no, you know what I mean. Like I'm joking, but that stuff was a big deal back in the day, and. Yeah, I mean, but I agree though. Like Pac is amazing, man. You talk about how Bone Thugs and Harmony was a different sound than anybody else. Eminem was a different sound than anybody. His like cadence and his like where he put his words and the emphasis on words and how like that was a totally different way of doing things as well.
Well, we're almost
How
at
about
time.
you, Wade?
I'm going to give a shout out to to Rakim. And I want to get a shout out to KRS-One. So don't forget the pioneers. And so that's what I have.
No doubt.
Chris, appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming on. Please come back.
You guys, man.
And hopefully
anytime.
we'll do it on a day where we don't have kid pickup.
Do you have anything you want to promote or?
Oh man, I want to promote the record label, man.
Your camera's right there.
Self-Made Glory, man. You see me in here, man.
Yeah.
Self-Made Glory is the record label, man. We got a studio here in Mankato, man. Shout out to my man Chris Parker, Shout out to my man T-Raw, the whole team, headquarters, staff, music, grind first. And man, we here, man. So I appreciate you guys for, reaching out to me,
Dude,
man.
this is
Man, it's
awesome.
always
Thank
good
you,
to
thank
see
you.
you, man.
This
It's
is
been a
super
while,
fun.
man. It's a great experience, man. Anytime you guys want me to come through, man, just send me a holler and I got y'all, man, no doubt.
We gotta have you come back and talk a little bit more about all this. This was super fun.
We could definitely set that up again, man. Sorry it was such a short notice.
This is yours, by the way.
Oh, this is mine,
Yeah,
man.
you
I
get
appreciate
this.
it.
So kind of like, when I was in a band in high school and like you have a merch table or you got a sticker or something, like you're totally legit. So now we're a podcast that has a sticker, so we're totally legit.
Got you. No doubt.
So you get that. You can put it wherever you want. But my literally 12-year-old entrepreneur gal that I know does those for us, and so she does an awesome job.
That's what's up.
So thank you, Wade.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate y'all.
Thanks for coming by.
Thank you, Tony.
and, we'll have a good time. Peace, everybody.